The evidence so far suggests that Angela Rayner has stayed within the letter of tax law, yet the combination of opaque timelines, split designations across different tax regimes and ministerial standards creates an optics problem that will not fade without fuller disclosure. The political timing before the autumn budget compounds it. So what is actually alleged is that reports say Angela Rayner paid £30,000 in stamp duty tax on an £800,000 flat in Hove after indicating that it was the only property she owned at purchase. Had it been classed as an additional property, SDLT would have been £70,000, implying a £40,000 saving. Now, the problem is that she's going through a divorce, and so the property that she had previously called her primary residence is the residence that will be inhabited by her ex-husband. The divorce is not complete at the moment, so there's an element of uncertainty and an element of duplication. The Educational Secretary, Bridget Phillipson, has publicly defended Rayner, saying she's entitled to buy a flat and that she followed the rules. The three addresses, however, matter. The Ashton-under-Lyne house with her ex-husband, the Hove flat, and the Admiralty House Grace and Favour residence in London, those are the three, and critics highlight potential contradictions between what counts as a main residence for different purposes, SDLT at the point of purchase, council tax for local billing, and ministerial declarations. And the Land Registry shows an application to alter the Ashton title this year, with earlier reporting about a 2023 trust arrangement that valued the Ashton property at $650,000. The exact sequence and the effect on ownership at the Hove completion date are central, and some details remain unpublished while title updates are pending. The law, however, and the optics in plain terms are worrying. The legality, the SDLT additional rates hinge on what you own at completion, not where you sleep. If by completion she didn't own another property, the higher rate need not apply. Several tax specialists note that such arrangements can be lawful tax planning, and she got very good tax planning advice. The optics, however, listing one place as the main home for one regime and treating another as primary for a different regime, looks like arbitrage, even if it's compliant. That is amplified because she's the minister responsible for housing and council tax itself. Now, would an ordinary person have access to the superior tax advice that she's got? Or indeed, would an ordinary person have access to all the ministerial insights that she's got? The Conservatives have asked the independent advisor Sir Laurie Magnus to investigate possible breaches of the ministerial code, arguing her tax affairs are not in good order and that there are contradictory statements about residency. This is a standards issue, not a criminal issue. And why the reassurances haven't worked. Firstly, there's the timeline issue. What exactly was her beneficial interest in the Ashton House? When was that relinquished? And did that precede exchange and completion on the Hove by a clear margin? And partial answers without documents invite more questions. Secondly, the split designations being a main residence for council tax doesn't automatically decide SDLT, but the public hears primary residence and expects consistency. That mismatch sustains suspicion, even if it is administratively normal. And third, the portfolio politics as housing secretary, she's shaping the very rules under debate, including potential SDLT reform or a property tax alternative ahead of the budget, which heightens cries of hypocrisy. Publication of the key documents, the dated transfer or declaration extinguishing any beneficial interest in Ashton, the Land Registry update when available, and any trust instrument that clarifies who owned what at the Hove completion date, that would be useful. That is the fastest way to align the legal and the political narratives. A short written statement that reconciles the differing main residence treatments across tax and allowances in one place. So one document that covers all the issues with the dates, would probably be enough to satisfy public interest. And whatever one thinks of the case, SDLT is a distortionary transactions tax that nudges behaviour and invites edge case planning. And that is why live proposals to reshape property taxation, including replacing parts of council tax or SDLT with ongoing property-based levies, have re-entered the frame. This row is a symptom of a creaky system as much as a test of an individual minister. On the facts, in the public domain, the likely legal position looks defensible. The political position is weaker because standards for ministers are about judgment and transparency. And until documentary timelines are set out, speculation will persist and opponents will continue to frame this as one rule for them, another rule for us. And the law says when you may do something. The ministerial code answers whether you should have done it that way. The first looks survivable by Angela Rayner. The second still needs significant paperwork to justify it.